This presentation is on the disproportionate gender representation in veterinary medicine. Veterinary medicine used to be a male-dominated field. Now, 80% of college veterinarian students are women. A study showed that 44% of the applicant pool in 1985 was men. However, in 1999, it dropped down to 28%. And since then, it has kept decreasing. Female veterinarians still make less than males, but this presentation will discuss whether that is because they're females or from other causes. Here is a chart from the AVMA that shows the gender enrollment in U.S. veterinary colleges. As you can see, back in the 1970s, males dominated the field by being 89% of the gender pool. Now going up to 2009, that has dropped down to 22.4%, and the women have taken the lead by going up to 77.6%. So why did this shift happen? So the fall of men seems to have many reasonings. One is the reluctance of men to enter careers with low or stagnant incomes. Most men like to be the breadwinner of the house and make the most money. However, entering a veterinarian career does not allow for that. Veterinarians already make such low income that choosing this field makes it almost impossible to bring home enough money to support a family, especially with the amount of debt college students go through. Also, there is an increase in corporate practices taking over private practices. Another is the trend effect. For example, as more women enter the field, it decreases the idea that a veterinarian is a male occupation. What were really influencing males to become a veterinarian was the desire to be independent of supervision, also known as owning their own practice, and financial attractiveness, which it does not have anymore. The rise of women is due to many factors. Over the years, there's been elimination of gender discrimination at colleges, which allows for more women to be accepted when it used to just be males that were able to get into colleges. There's an improvement of chemical restraint, which allows women to do more with animals, and there's an increased number of female role models. There's also the image you see in books and movies of the nice, sweet lady veterinarian that a lot of people admire. However, are these all the truth, or is that biased opinions? There's other sides of the story. For example, the truth about the financials. The less than optimal salaries that come with veterinarians are not due to gender, but due to not charging enough for services. If veterinarians aren't charging enough for services, then there isn't enough money being made to increase the salaries. Most people have an idea in their head how much veterinary services should cost, and it's not as much as it should cost. So, veterinarians are reluctant to raise prices to fit the need of clients. Wages also depend on the years out of school, the degree of specialization, if they own a practice or not, and if they're full-time or part-time. Seeing this was formerly a male-dominated field, the older veterinarians out there in the world right now have been out of school longer, which means they have more experience and more specialization, which equals their larger salaries. And the increase of women has nothing to do with the veterinary field being completely feminized. Getting into a DVM program is very competitive in nature. The academic grades play a huge role in getting accepted. Men typically on average score lower than females at the high school and college education level. That results in fewer males being accepted into the DVM programs, which results with fewer males becoming veterinarians, which really does correlate with the fall of men in this profession. Grades play a huge part. There's also a fall in the privately owned practices. A study showed that newly graduated students, 86% of men wanted to own and 71% of women wanted to own. That's a very high number of both genders wanting to own their own private practice. However, as the years go on, the study shows that 61% of men still want to own their own practice. However, the number dropped significantly for women to 38% who still wanted to own. It's easier to work for a company rather than own your own. And owning a company requires a lot of finances, which veterinarians are already struggling with, and a lot of side work that many veterinarians aren't capable of doing, along with being a full-time veterinarian. Most people want to focus on just working as a veterinarian than having to add all the business aspect to it as well. So it's easier to work for somebody else. And women tend to go for that. There's also a fall in large animal veterinarians. Large animal veterinarians are mainly male. Only 4% of women veterinary graduates in 2001 entered large animal predominant or large animal exclusive. That is significantly low compared to the, I believe, 33% of men that chose large animal. Overall, only 7% of all veterinarians make up large animal doctors. However, this really isn't due to females not wanting to work with larger animals and get dirty and all of those aspects people think it may be. Being a large animal veterinarian is draining. You work in brutal weather conditions all year round. You travel a lot. You work undesirable hours by having to be on call all the time in the middle of the night on weekends and then having to travel. It's not very ideal for men or women. So the overall results is that there's a lack in diversity in the veterinary field. We have this abundance of women with a shortage of men. We have an increase in corporate businesses buying out privately owned practice, which takes away the nice family-owned touch. There's a declining interest in large animal medicine, and there's increased competitive nature of veterinary programs. The fall of the veterinary profession do not directly correlate with the rise of the female veterinarians, which a lot of people may see. And this is my works cited.